All right. Welcome back, everyone. Today's topic for our strategy session is dealing with setbacks and adopting a growth mindset. So when we talk about dealing with setbacks, we have to understand that people often conflate improbable with impossible. We have to realize that impossible things are things that can never happen, right? I am never going to sprout wings and fly. This is just a law of the universe. However, improbable things happen all the time, right? Winning the lottery is highly improbable, and yet someone wins the lottery every day, right? Winning the Mega Millions jackpot might be very improbable, but people get winning lottery tickets every single day. Hold on one second. Right. So improbable versus impossible. Impossible things never happen. Improbable things, although they seem improbable to us, actually happen all the time, right? People win the lottery every day. People get struck by lightning. Cars crash, planes crash. So these things are improbable and they feel improbable, and yet they happen all the time. And the things that the reason that this is important, because we think about things is like, well, yeah, it's not that, it's not that probable. It's probably not going to happen to me. But we have to remember that these things happen all the time. Everything exists on a bell curve, right? This picture right here is of a bell curve. So most things, if we think about the distribution of 100%, the point of this curve is, you see, it goes from 0 to 25 to 50%, 70, 75%, 100%. Okay. Most of the distribution, most things will happen in this 50% range. Most people will get the average of what happens, right? So to use dieting as an example, right? Most people who eat pretty healthy and exercise a decent amount will get the average result, which is the desired weight loss. But then there are outliers. There are people that skew to the left and skew to the right. Some people who skew to the right might be the people who do absolutely nothing and get all of the results, right? And those are the people like, everyone has a friend that eats whatever they want and doesn't gain any weight, or doesn't work out and still looks like they do, or something like that. Those people are lucky. And then we have people on the other side who are on the other side of that spectrum, who do literally all of the things and don't get any of the results, right? Those are the people who diet hard, they exercise hard, they do everything right, they stay consistent, and they get barely any results. And we have to understand that these things are just sometimes, although improbable, they do happen, right? And if I find myself falling to the left end of that bell curve, I don't get to decide that it should be different. So although it is improbable for me to be that person, it happens to someone. Someone has to be there. Some people have to be at the tail ends of those curves in either direction. And that's just an actual fact of life. And I was actually just reading a book today, and I actually want to just straight up read this passage, because I literally had already created this PowerPoint and this presentation, this topic for today. And I found this passage that I just want to read to you. And it says, the Japanese have a word for this rule, arugamama. I think that's how you pronounce it. It is the virtue of abiding with things as they are. It implies a realistic and responsive approach to life. It is essential in good improv and provides sensible advice for an ordinary life. The most consistent road to unhappiness that I know comes from turning a blind eye to reality. We do this when we wish potato chips weren't fattening and eat them anyway. Put off doing the bills just one more day, live an unhealthy lifestyle, fail to heed warnings on the label, or focus on our partner's shortcomings and spend time trying to talk him into doing things our way. Wishing things were different, or that I was different, simply wastes time. And I mean, honestly, I can't sum it up better than that. That's the whole point of this, right? Some things are improbable, and yet they are anyway. Improbable things happen all the time. So wishing or saying, why is it like this? It's not fair. All of this stuff is just a waste of energy and a waste of time. We have to accept the realities of the situations that we're in. So now we're talking about dealing with setbacks. On the positive side, understand that setbacks are short-lived. I tell you all the time, one day at a time. And this is not just a mantra. This is how life lives. Life works. We live life one day at a time. I always get another chance tomorrow. Life is filled with second, third, and 1,000th chances. You literally get to try until you die. The only way you fail is when you stop trying, when you get in your own head about why is it like this? Why isn't the result coming fast enough? Why do I have to work so hard to get X result when so-and-so doesn't? I don't want to be like this, or whatever the other thing is, right? So we get unlimited second chances, third chances, 100th chance. But I have a picture of Albert Einstein here for a reason. Albert Einstein has a famous quote: "What is the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results." So although we get second, third, and 1 millionth chances, that only matters if we use them to do something different. If we continue doing the same things over and over, making the same mistakes, not learning from our mistakes, that's when our setbacks actually matter. If we can use our setbacks to drive us forward, then it's actually a good thing. So this brings us to the infinite game. Infinite game and finite games come from game theory, and finite games are games that have a set endpoint and they're played for the purpose of winning. A finite game would be something like chess or Uno. Okay, these have a specific set of rules, and you win or you lose. There's a start and an end. Infinite games have no endpoint, and the purpose of the game is only to play. And there are no set rules. There are some rules, but the game is flexible and it grows and it evolves over time. So an infinite game, if you play video games, would be something like a massively multiplayer online RPG or something like that. You know, something like World of Warcraft or Minecraft or something like that. There's no winning that game. You just play and you build and you create and you go through the game. And life is an infinite game. But if we play it like it's a finite game, we are setting ourselves up for failure, because again, that is going against the reality of the situation. A finite game has a winning point, an end point. Life does not have that. You do not get to win this game. Whether it's weight loss, whether it's creating a business, whether it's fitness, whether it's whatever, there is no point where you get to say, okay, I won, I'm good now. Until the day we die, we have to keep going. So whether it's eating healthy, whether it's exercise, whether it's, again, building a business, whether it's relationships, whatever the thing is, there is no end to this. You have to realize you are playing an infinite game, and the purpose is to continue. So even if you have a goal to lose weight and you get to your goal weight, that's not the end of the game. Now you have to maintain. Now you have to continue. Now you have to figure out how to live life at that weight. Even if you have a goal to do a bodybuilding competition or something like that, and you get on stage and you do that, okay, now what happens after that? This game doesn't end. Just because you reach your goal does not mean the game ends. That's just a checkpoint in the game. Now the rules might change at that point, right? If you diet down to a certain point and you lose the weight you want, you might not have to continue doing the same diet that you were doing to get there. But the point is, you don't get to just say, all right, I'm done now. We have to understand that we're playing the infinite game. The infinite game never ends, but that also means, like I just said, you get infinite chances, you get infinite redos. You can try again tomorrow. Again, the only way you actually fail is if you quit, if you talk yourself out of it. You go, well, I screwed up, what's the point? And you stop trying. Remember that there is no last chance here until we don't get another chance, and that's when we're dead. And that brings me to a key concept that we really need to understand, which is having a growth versus a fixed mindset. The concept of growth versus fixed mindset was first presented by Carol Dweck, this book here, Mindset. I highly recommend to anyone who wants to read and learn more about this stuff, because this is really influential. So basically what Carol Dweck discovered in her studies was that the difference between people who are successful in life and not successful was not people who have more money. It was not people who are more talented. It was not people who were born to a higher class or something like that. It was just certain people have what's known as a growth mindset. Certain people have what's known as a fixed mindset. Okay, and fixed mindset people avoid challenges, right? They see challenge as something that they want to stay away from. They want to take the easy route. They give up in the face of adversity and setbacks, meaning if they do face a challenge, maybe they're forced to, or for whatever reason, and they face adversity, they go, oh, well, like I failed, it's over. These are the people who have a plan for the week, right? Set out on Sunday and put their schedule together for the week. But then as soon as something comes in and throws them off their schedule, then they go, well, I'm screwed then. And that's it. These are the people who are eating well for a certain amount of time. And then because they can't stick to their meal plan exactly, they go, oh, well, I can't stick to it. So, I'm all done. These are the people who have a business and they're doing well, but then the market changes or COVID happens or something. And they go, well, this is, and they quit. Okay. Fixed mindset people also believe that intelligence and abilities are set, often from birth, right? I'm just a dumb person. I'm just not that smart. I'm just not an athletic person. So we use these as excuses, as crutches. Well, that's just not me. Oh, it's just not in my genetics. Okay. Fixed mindset people also ignore feedback because of the point above, right? If everything's set, if I'm just a smart person or a dumb person from birth, if I'm just an athletic person or an unathletic person from birth, then what does it matter if I take your feedback or not? Then nothing's going to change anyway. I am the way I am. It's fixed. And fixed mindset people see the success of others as competition, right? Because they're playing the finite game, and a finite game has winners and losers. So if I'm playing chess and someone else wins, that means I lose. That's a finite game mentality. The infinite game, there are no winners and losers. So you can win, I can win, we can all win, because there's no end to this game. Now, a growth mindset, someone who has a growth mindset embraces challenges. They see challenge and understand it as the thing that creates growth. We cannot succeed without challenge, because without challenge, that is what forces us to think outside the box. It forces us to grow. It forces us to get stronger. It forces us to challenge ourselves mentally and physically. And people who have a growth mindset lean into that rather than shy away from it. People with a growth mindset also persist in spite of setbacks, right? They use setback as fuel, something to learn from, something to fuel them, something to make them more excited. So they say, okay, I tried something that didn't work. On last week's call, I talked about Thomas Edison inventing the light bulb. And when he was asked, how did you persist in the face of failing 10,000 times to create the light bulb? And he said, I didn't fail 10,000 times. I discovered 10,000 ways to not create a light bulb, right? Growth mindset people also see effort as the path to mastery. They understand that effort is necessary to become good at something. 99 out of 100 people are not just born great at things. And even if they are, they still have to practice. We still have to try. We still have to train. Whatever the thing is that you want to be good at, the people that you look up to, they work hard at it. And growth mindset people appreciate feedback and they learn from criticism, because again, these are not negative things. They see these as positive things. Setbacks, criticism, these are all things that we can learn from and that we should strive for rather than to avoid. And these people are playing the infinite game, and they find inspiration and see lessons in the success of others rather than looking at someone else who's succeeding where they're failing. They don't say, oh my God, they're so lucky. I wish that was me. They say, okay, what are they doing right? And how can I emulate them? How can I learn from what they're doing so that I can continue and be more like them? So when it comes to dealing with setbacks, remember that setbacks are inevitable. This is the biggest thing. I say this on every single one of our coaching calls. I say this on every single training. There is going to be a time when you want to quit. There is going to be a time when the thing that you're doing does not work. There is going to be a time when everything feels like it's crumbling down around you. This is not a question of if, it is a question of when. We have to remember that and get over that, right? Like it said in the book, the quickest way to unhappiness is to try to avoid that natural fact. The faster you can accept that, the more chance you have of finding success. We are playing the infinite game, right? And we need to adopt a growth mindset. When we're talking about setbacks being inevitable, I say this a lot, don't swim against the current. Fighting something that is inevitable is just inherently a waste of energy. We do not need to spend our time, our effort, our energy, or anything else trying to change things that are unchangeable. No amount of me wanting things to be perfect will make them so. No amount of me wanting things to be differently will make them so. So anything I do trying to fight against something that is inevitable is just me swimming upstream against the current that is eventually going to wash me away anyway. I'd rather swim with the current and understand what's happening and understand that, okay, even though it might not be the most ideal, it is inevitable. So what can I do from it now? And that brings me to the next point, have a plan in place for when the inevitable happens, right? If we're talking about a diet, have a plan in place for when you don't eat perfectly, for when you eat over your calories, or for when you don't go grocery shopping and you don't have food in the house and you end up ordering in, or for when you're traveling and normally you eat very well when you're at home, but now that you're out of the house or you're at a wedding or whatever the thing is, these things will happen. Weekends come up, weddings come up, vacations come up. This is not a question of if, it is a question of when. Same thing with fitness. I'm so good when I'm on my plan, my Monday, Wednesday, Friday gym routine. What happens when something throws that off? What happens when I have to go help my mom with something on Wednesday and it throws off my whole routine? Business, whatever. We have plans and that's great. We need strategies. We need plans and we need to stick to them as best we can. However, we also need a plan in place for when those things do not work out like we want them to, because it's a guarantee that they will not always work out. Now, when we talk about playing the infinite game, some things to remember. Time is on your side. The infinite game is infinite. There is no winning or losing. You just keep going. And that can seem frustrating because it's like, what do you mean I have to keep doing this forever? But again, that's inevitable. Life keeps going no matter what. So now you have, again, if you can accept that, you can use this as an advantage because other people are playing a finite game. They're worried about today and tomorrow. They're worried about, again, playing, if they succeed, I won't succeed, or if I succeed, they can't succeed. If you understand that this is the infinite game and we're all fighting the same fight, which is to just do the best that we can, you have infinite chances. You get to wake up every day and try again. And you get to learn from what happened yesterday. You get to learn from yourself. You get to learn from others. You get to learn from people like me. You get to learn from the internet. There's so much to learn. And all you have to do is keep learning and keep iterating as long as you do not give up. We have to remember that change happens in months and years, not days and weeks. The infinite game is also the long game, right? We no matter, again, going back to my very first statement today, no matter how much we want it to be different does not make it so. No matter how much I want results to come this week, that's just not how it works. That is swimming upstream. That is fighting against the inevitable. Change takes time. If it were easy, everyone would do it. If it were easy, it would be done already. Okay, so we have to accept that this is just the long game. And if you can do that, if you can play the long game, you win. It's so straight up and straight, cut and dry like that. You cannot lose as long as you keep playing. The only way you lose is if you get into your own head and you say, this is dumb, this isn't working, this isn't for me, I'm not, whatever the thing is that goes in your head that sends you down that negative thought spiral that gets you to say, I'm just going to just screw it. I'll start again next week. Screw it. I'll start again next month. Screw it. It's almost January. I'll start then. Just screw it. What's the point anyway? If you can not talk yourself out of this, you will get the result. You just have to stay in the game. You just have to keep playing. All right. And the only reason to stop is when you talk yourself out of it. And then the last piece here is to adopt a growth mindset. Do not avoid adversity. Seek it. Challenge, struggle. That is what creates growth. In the gym, literally, right? If you're just walking, it's great, but you're not going to grow muscles like that. If your goal is to grow big biceps, you have to try to lift weights that are heavy, because that adversity, that struggle is what makes your biceps grow. So when you find something that's challenging, that's the whole point. Whether it's walking, whether it's eating, whether it's reading, whether it's meditating, the fact that it challenges you shows you that that's where you need to be. It shouldn't be something that's avoided. It should literally be something that you go, okay, this is tough. This is something that I'm kind of feeling a little timid about. That's how I know I'm supposed to be there. That's how I know that this is something that's going to stretch me, right? And then again, even if it does stretch me and I mess up, I screw up, I have a mistake, I have a setback, those are just learning experiences. There's nothing to be ashamed about. There's nothing wrong with messing up. These are to be expected, because if you're not messing up, it means you're not pushing yourself. Those two points right here go hand in hand. If I'm not making mistakes and setbacks, then I'm probably not pushing myself. There's no challenge there. That's why I'm not making any mistakes, because I'm playing the game on easy mode. I want to be pushing myself and taking those risks, even if it means I make a mistake, because then I can learn from that. I can iterate and I can move forward better tomorrow. And then the last piece is you can't compare your journey to other people's, but you can use their journey to save time on yours. You have to take the good, but skip their mistakes. I think Charlie Munger, who is the partner of Warren Buffett, has a good quote. Like people say, it's something like, people say to learn from your mistakes. And he says, I don't want to learn from my mistakes. I want to learn from other people's mistakes. But I want you to do both, right? We are going to make mistakes. That's fine. Learn from them, but also learn from other people's mistakes. That's what things like this are for. That's what books are for. That's what YouTube is for. There's so much information out there. You don't have to do it all on your own. You're doing things like this, but you have to understand that even if you're looking at someone else's journey, you can't expect yours to look like theirs. Meaning you can do the exact same mindset routine. You can do the exact same meditations. You can do the exact same workouts. You can do the exact same diet and not get the same results as someone else. So you can't try to take those pieces from them, but what you can take is the things they learned. You can take the lessons, you can take the mistakes, you can take the setbacks from other people's journeys and use that to help you not make those same mistakes when you inevitably come across them in the future. All right. So when we talk about dealing with setbacks, the 3 key points I want you to take away from today is to remember that setbacks are inevitable. Remember that you're playing the infinite game, that you always get another chance, that this never ends. This is the long game. This is not about this week. This is not about this month even. This is about this year, this decade. Okay. And then adopt a growth mindset. Realize that nothing is stuck how it is. We can learn, we can grow, we can stretch, but you have to seek that stuff. If you are constantly erring away from struggle, from things that push you and stretch you, you aren't going to be able to get anything above where you already are. It is literally the act of being pushed, of being, of struggling that creates growth in the long term. So look for those things. And when you feel a little bit uncomfortable, that's how you know that you're in the right place. All right. That's it for today. Have a great day, guys.